Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Once again, welcome to our second EU Funds Week. We had already this afternoon a presentation by the head of the EU Desk Curaçao, Mrs. Vanessa Torre, and after that, a presentation by our keynote speaker, Mrs. Suzanne Camelia Reumer, which was very interesting also, and the presentation of the Curaçao as the island of learning. And now we will continue with our very important and very interesting session, which is about future possibilities within the ACP-EU relationship. And we will talk about some successful regional projects. It's always important to talk about a successful project because that will give you an idea of what is possible. Okay, so that's very important that we will have that today. And we will have a showcase of some successful collaboration projects within the region and a discussion about the ACP-EU relationships and areas of cooperation. For that theme, we have two speakers today. We will start with Mrs. Lidia Encarnacion. She is the Director of Projects in the General Directorate of Multilateral Cooperation in the Dominican Republic, and she is in charge of regional cooperation. And after Mrs. Lidia Encarnacion, we will have Taiana Mora, who is already very famous in Curaçao also. And she will talk about, she is the Managing Director at Next Consulting in the Dominican Republic. Thank you very much, ladies, for attending. And we will start with Mrs. Lidia Encarnacion. Like we did already before, we will ask everyone to turn off their mic and video because that will improve the quality of the transmission. Okay, so go ahead, Lidia. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon. Thank you to you and Vanessa and the team for inviting me to share with you our experience with regional projects and also on the framework with ACP European Union. I am, as you mentioned before, the Director for Regional Cooperation, and I have been working with the European Union projects since for 25 years, more or less. And it is a pleasure to share with you. I would like to see if I can share my... Can you see the presentation?
Not yet.
For a second, please. I have been some, I don't know why I can. Now, can you see the presentation?
Not yet, no.
Janina,
can you help us out for a moment with sharing the screen? Okay, I think we got it there.
When you click, you need to share the screen. Click on the presentation and then share your screen.
Yes, I am working on that. No se me va al escritorio. Está abierta. Ah, que estaba abajo. Okay, sorry about that.
No problem. Okay, we can start. Yes.
So now we have the presentation. Can you hear us? Can you hear me very well?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Okay. Okay. Then, as mentioned before, I belong to the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development in the Dominican Republic and part of the Vice Ministry of International Cooperation. And then we have the Directorate of Regional Cooperation. I am the director of that directorate. So the functions of the directorate, in order to put in context, is to coordinate strategies and actions that contribute to the better positioning of the Dominican Republic in regional cooperation spaces and to the fulfillment of the commitments assumed by the country in this scheme. In the same way, this directorate has the role of identifying, registering, and monitoring the non-reimbursable international cooperation programs and projects in the different mechanisms, not only with the European Union, but also, for example, with SICA and other regional spaces. The relationship between the Dominican Republic and the ACP, the cooperation of our country on the ACP group has allowed our country to strengthen the dialogue with global issues with the European Union. And we have been part of the convention accession to the Lomé IV Convention in 1985, which progressed then towards the Cotonou Convention in 2000. And then at the end of this presentation, we are going to see also the new program or the new relation between the ACP and the European Union with the new instrument and the new Post-Cotonou Agreement. Our country during the last 32 years have been developed more than 200 programs and have been implemented in a way that contribute to deepening of the dialogue with significant impact on the institutional, social, economic, and environmental order for the benefit of the development of our country. And we have developed projects also at national, but at regional level. That is what we are going to speak today. As part of the Cotonou Agreement, as you maybe know, we have 79 countries and 16 Caribbean countries. And the European Union on that moment were 28 states, now 27 because of the Brexit. The European Union is the largest donor of non-reimbursable cooperation in the Dominican Republic and the region, therefore paying special attention to the ensuring that the location of the funds and their optimal use is a priority part of the actions of this directorate. Currently, we have finalized the negotiation of the Post-Cotonou Agreement between the 27 states of the European Union and the 79 countries of the Association of the Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific States. So now I'm going to speak regarding the regional cooperation mechanism. And first of all, just to remind us that we belong to CARIFORUM, that was created in 1992 as a political group, including not only the member states of CARICOM, but also the Dominican Republic, Haiti, and Suriname. Those two were not members of CARICOM at that time, and also Cuba. That is not a signatory of the Cotonou Agreement, but it is part of CARIFORUM. The objective of the creation of CARIFORUM, it was due to the need to form broader group of countries to interact with the European Union at the regional level, also for political issues, but for cooperation. Regarding the regional envelope and the 11 EDF that is in place now, we have 304 million euros, and we have some different focal areas: crime and security, climate change, environment and disaster management, and crime and regional cooperation and integration. And I would like also to share with you part of the process that we have developed in Dominican Republic. What we did, we make a participatory process involving all the sectors regarding all the 3 areas. So with that, we have set up our priorities at national level and then to negotiate at regional level with CARIFORUM. And that also contribute to the ownership and to more participation of the DR institution on the different areas and programs that have been developed. So for regional cooperation modalities, we have several. We have, for example, we have regional of all CARIFORUM member states participate. Then we have multi-country programs that is also for some countries that identified and a strategy or a problematic or a common challenge that we want to face or to develop. And sub-regional, we have the binational program that we have with Haiti, for example, OECS program and CARICOM program. I mean, some cases we have wider Caribbean, including also the DOMS and the OECTs. And now I'm going to speak about some program that we have a regional level, a success program. First of all, the regional program to support the private sector that is implemented by Caribbean Export, that has been, I think that one of the most successful projects that has been developed during many years. So since the 7 EDF, 8 EDF, 9 EDF, 10, and then the 11 EDF, and has contributed to increase job creation, inclusion, especially for youth and women, and overall poverty reduction in the CARIFORUM countries. And also it works with BCOs and micro levels support to medium enterprises at national and at regional level. And also support the sector at the company level and strengthen public-private dialogue to promote a more effective business environment. And this is, I think, the regional program that also have include the DOMS and OECT's participation in many times. Then we have another program that is a multi-country program. There is a new one that is being implemented now regarding the expansion of coconut industry development and enhanced support for the Caribbean. And the objective is to increase the competitiveness of the industry, improve food availability, and strengthen the livelihoods of small farmers in the coconut industry. And this program is now being developed, and it is also a good example with cooperation between a national institution and regional institution like CARDI. And it is implemented by the ITC. And has also contributed to develop our coconut sector and support to the producers in Dominican Republic. Then we have another project that is a regional one, support to CARIFORUM state and improving the application of EPA commitments to better obtain the benefits. So the EPA, as you maybe know, also is the agreement that has been signed between CARIFORUM and the European Union. And it is a trade agreement, not only trade, but also have the contemplate the development component. And on that project, we have several components: innovation and intellectual property, SPS, technical barriers to trade, that is regarding to the quality of the products, and capacity building in the area of competition, public procurement, and also support the IPA and national implementation of the EPA at national level, and also for the CSME agreement. On crime and security, that is another sector, we have been present at CARIFORUM, a multi-country border security program between Haiti, Jamaica, and Dominican Republic. And that is an example of a
seem to have some
to help us
issues.
Yeah. Taiana, you want to say something?
No,
So
no,
the-
I said
Okay,
it seemed like we had some technical issues, but I think it's okay now, right?
Okay, yes. So that is a project that has been presented as a multi-country one, has been presented by the Dominican Republic in agreement or in partnership with Jamaica and Haiti. And the objective is to improve security in the countries of Jamaica, Haiti, and the Dominican Republic, and enhancing the capacities of these three countries to protect citizens from the security threats. And also the idea with this project is also to promote the work together between the different institutions that deals with crime and security on the three countries, and that they can also have the ability to coordinate the level of the board lander and also by sea between the three countries. So this project is being now in implementation, and it is implemented by the FIAP and the IOM in Dominican Republic, and the three countries participates. Even we have some challenge because of COVID, a lot of capacity building have been developed until now. On the climate change, environment, disaster management, and sustainability energy, we also are part with a regional project for strengthening the disaster risk management in CARIFORUM. And also to mention that this is the only project that is a regional one, but we have a national component for Dominican Republic. And that is because it is implemented by CIDEMA, that is the institution that deals with disaster in CARICOM, but Dominican Republic doesn't belong to that institution. So we have a national component, but we work together and closely to the regional agency CIDEMA in order to share experience with them. And also it is foreseen to have joint capacity building and joint, how can I say, joint training. And we have also developed some tools that have been translated to English and shared with the rest of the Caribbean. So that is an interesting project regarding to contribute to the reduction of vulnerability of the CARIFORUM state to disaster risk and to their sustainability development. And we are also developing a national integrated information system, and the idea is also to strengthen and project at regional level. So it is like a national component, but it is linked to the regional one. Then we have another multi-country program that has been also presented by the Dominican Republic, but together with Cuba, Haiti, and our country, Dominican Republic. And it's regarding the projects for the strengthening of the Caribbean biological corridor. And it is implemented by UN Environment, that is the secretary for the CBC, this corridor. And the objective is to build a collective, strong, and sustainability institutional regional approach for the conservation and management of terrestrial and maritime biodiversity in the Caribbean island. And this project is currently implemented with a lot of success also. And I also mentioned that we have like regional, multi-country, and also we have binational program with Haiti. And this binational cooperation, we have also we have entered together with Haiti at the Lomé Convention. And since that, we have been developed a lot of binational projects. Now we have a project that have three components. One that is regarding the binational dialogue and support for civil society, trade and private sector development, and environment, climate change, and disaster risk reduction. Regarding the trade component that is being implemented by the agency Oxfam, the idea is to reinforce the mutually beneficial and sustainable development process of both countries, fostering better relation and integration process in key areas of trade and private sector development. We have an informal component, and we have a formal component that is being implemented by Caribbean Export. That is this one. That is the formal trade component. And that is also a good example with the binational project because has contributed to reinforce the relationship between Haiti and Dominican Republic in public and private sector. Regarding the public sector, the two Ministry of Trade and Commerce and also the Custom and the Indocal, that is the Dominican Institute of Quality, has been shared experience, have been developed some binational strategy. And also for the private sector, the Chamber of Commerce of the two countries have worked also together. So this program has contributed also to work with the two countries in different value chains that have been prioritized by both countries. And also another component that is very interesting one, and we are now facing some challenges, is also regarding to facilitate the dialogue between the two countries. And international technical assistance has been contracted, and by this, for this project, we have foreseen not also to support the dialogue between the two countries for public sector, but also for the civil society in order to promote people-to-people contact in education, environment, and some other aspect that like culture, sports. And so this project is a very interesting one, and it is mainly at the border area in order that the communities of both countries can share, as we share also same island. And we also have another project binational that is for increased cooperation capacity for disaster risk reduction and sustainable management of natural resources through adaptation measures for climate change. So the GIS agency is implementing this one, and at the same way, it is at the border area, one of the border area of our country that is called Pedernales and Cepitre. But also we promote the relationship at national level between the two countries with some institution that deals with environment, climate change, and disaster management. And I also want to speak regarding the bi-regional cooperation with Latin American European Union. Until now, we are not part, DR is not part of that cooperation, because we the instrument that we use is the EDF. So as we can see, we're going to see later, the EDF doesn't allow us to be part before of this bi-regional cooperation. Nevertheless, what we did is to take some amount of the national amount of national envelope and to contribute with some amount in order to be part of these initiatives. So one that maybe a lot of our participants know is Eurosocial, that is a bi-regional program, bi-regional program that has some democratic social cohesion and gender equality. So our country is participating on that project, that the idea is to increasing the level of social cohesion in Latin America and the Dominican Republic by supporting national public policies in social matters, good governance, and gender equality. So now this component is being implemented with success also. Then we are also to be part with Euroclima Plus, that is another bi-regional program, and we are in the process to sign the contract with this institution with the European Union that implement that project. And the idea is, the objective is to reduce the impact of climate change and effects in Latin America by promoting climate change mitigation and adaptation, resilience, and investment. It implements action of strategic importance for the implementation and updating of national determined contributions, NDCs. And we expect to sign the contract with this agency that is also the GIS and FIAP in order to implement those activities on the framework of Euroclima Plus. I also want to share with you some, during this period of relationship between DR institution and regional, we also have promoted the strategic partnership for sustainability. On that regard, for example, on crime and security, we have signed a memorandum of understanding between the Caribbean Security Agency, IMPACT, and the Dominican Republic. On the same way, also, a Dominican Republic belongs to CARIFORUM and also to SICA. The commitment to promote the action plan of the climate security strategy between SICA and CARIFORUM has been supported, and those has been promoted by the Dominican Republic. For example, on disaster management, and that we have developed two projects until now. A memorandum of understanding has been signed between the Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Management Agency, CIDEMA, and the National Emergency Commission. And also on quality infrastructure, a collaboration between the CARICOM Cross-Q Agency and Indocal in Dominican Republic has been also signed. And we have now a closer relationship between those institutions, CARICOM's one and the Dominican Republic. Also on climate change, a collaboration also we have between the 5Cs, CARICOM Agency for Climate Change, and the Dominican Republic that is in charge of climate change. And also I want to refer to the new agreement, Postcode Agreement that has been initiated already between the two negotiators. And the new agreement combines the foundation part with 3 specific action-oriented regional protocols. One for Africa, another for Caribbean, and another one for Pacific, which focus on each region's needs. For us, it has a lot of some implications because as I mentioned, there is no longer a European Development Fund, the EDF, but in the EU budget, a provision has been made for a new Neighborhood Development and International Cooperation Instrument, that is the NDICI, from which development finance can be programmed. And this NDICI has some changes because now, for example, for the 11 EDF, we have a lot of instruments. For example, in Dominican Republic, we have the ACP, we have EDF, and in other regions, another instrument. But now has been unified for this NDICI global reach. And that has some simplification, consistent, and flexibility approach. And the European Union also is promoting that it has a rapid response and program cooperation. So this protocol, Caribbean one, has some areas that have been identified that is support to regional integration and cooperation processes, and also trade, investment, and private sector development, improve environmental sustainability and climate change resilience, and also have the disaster management, governance and city security, and also invest in human and social development. As we can see, many of the areas that have been working for many years at CARIFORUM level, we have also going to continue with these areas that have been on this protocol, Caribbean protocol. So we have also new opportunities to deepen cooperation because now as we have an unique instrument that is the NDICI, a wider geographic programs involving French, Dutch, OECDs, territories, collectivities, and projects defined in the EU-LAC context. I have been explained now we participate, for example, with bi-regional projects like Euroclima and Eurosocial program, but we are not full part of those projects. With this new instrument, the NDICI, we are going to fully participate on those bi-regional program between Latin American, Caribbean, and the European Union. I also want to mention a memorandum of understanding that has been signed between the Dominican Republic and the government of the Kingdom of Netherlands in 2016. And there are so many areas that have been identified: culture, education, economic cooperation and trade, agriculture, water management, innovation and technology, environment, disaster management, corporate social responsibility and clean production, tourism, migration, cooperation, and regional and territorial public security. As we can see, also many of those areas has been also prioritized on this regional protocol for the Caribbean. So I think that we have the opportunity to also to deepen cooperation between CARIFORUM and those government of the OECDs. And so we have the opportunity also to maybe to identify some multi-country program as we have made, for example, at CARIFORUM level. And for us, that is a big opportunity that I think that we have. So thank you for your attention.
Okay. Mrs. Lidia Encarnacion, thank you very much. You gave us a lot of information about cooperation and collaboration projects, and it's really interesting. And we will continue now with Mrs. Taiana Mora, or maybe there are some very short questions for Mrs. Encarnacion. If you have a question.
I think
Yes.
there is a question in the chat.
There is a question in the chat. Let's see. Rudy, can you tell us something about how you align the priorities at national level for a program? Also, what are best practices for the body who implements and monitors the projects and programs? That has to do with the discussion that we had this morning. So can you please give us some information on this part?
You have to mute.
Okay, yeah. You're muted. You should unmute.
You muted it again.
Now, yes?
Yes, now we can hear you. Good.
Okay. What we have done, our experience in Dominican Republic is that we have involved national institutions since we start the discussion, not of project, but with the strategy that before we called the Caribbean Regional Indicative Program. And on that script, during the discussion, the institution in Dominican Republic were involved since, let's say, since the strategic planning. So then there are included in all the phases for the programming process. On that regard, what we try is to, sometimes we don't have, for example, in disaster management, climate change, climate security, we have almost same challenges. But what we try to do is to involve national institutions on the discussion since the beginning, so they can also contribute to developing and of different projects. And doing that, also the national interests are also on the project when they are developed.
Okay, so
And also we work with the institutions because sometimes it's not very easy that they can have not only at national view, because we have already national projects. And we insist that the idea of regional projects is to work together with the rest of the region in common challenges. So they also have to understand that with those regional projects, we sometimes, if we are more developed than the rest of the region, we're going also to contribute to strengthening the capacity building for the rest of the region and vice versa. So the idea is also to sensitive, in other words, to work with them in order to make them understand that the regional approach is different to the national approach. I don't know if the question has been answered.
yes, I think it has been answered, and I must apologize but we have to continue with Mrs. Taiana because we're running out of time. But thank you very much, Mrs. Lidia Encarnacion, for a very clear explanation. And I want to ask Mrs. Taiana, first of all, if you would like to introduce yourself very short and then tell us more about your topic.
Yes, hello. I'm Taiana Mora, like Marguerite already said. I'm have a consulting firm called Next Consulting. I have been working in EU funded project for a long time. First as working in Caribbean Expert Development Agency, which is a CARIFORUM level agency that manages most of the private sector support funding, EU funding at the regional level. But also after that, next we have been involved in designing, implementing, supporting the National Authorizing Officer in Dominican Republic and other at the regional level, CARICOM, CARIFORUM, EU evaluations and monitoring of projects. So the presentation today is, you can see from what Lidia presented, there has been passed, it hasn't been easy for Dominican Republic. When Dominican Republic entered the cooperation, the EU regional cooperations and the EU in 1989, Dominican Republic entered the what was called then the Lomé Agreement that became then the Cotonou Agreement that Lidia made reference to. There was very limited relationship between Dominican Republic and the rest of the region. So it has been a learning curve, not only to understand the EU, but also to develop the cooperation that Lidia have mentioned and to be able to tap into that. So today, I'm going to keep it brief, Marguerite, but just to look at the EU fundings, programming step, I think what the path that we're going to see is valid for the country as well as for individual companies or institutions that want to tap into the EU cooperation. And at the end, I will mention some potential areas where I see the DRCARI Forum collaboration as coordinating the Curaçao desk in the Dominican Republic. This is one of the tasks that we can help you undertake here. So think about getting EU funding as a funnel, right? First, we have to raise awareness, which is what this EU Funding Week does, and a lot of the work that the EU desk is doing at MEO. Then we have to forecast. That means is where are the funding, but also where are the windows that we could tap, the modalities that we could tap into those funding. And then prospecting is with whom and how are we going to do that? And then how do we approach them and develop proposals together? Then how we negotiate and how do we implement? And at the end of the day, of course, everything that we implement has to be monitored and evaluated, because based on those results, that fits back into new programming cycles that have to be done, and then ensuring that we continue to receive and we continue to be part of the beneficiaries as a country and as organization institutions. So the awareness, we said, is what we are doing. It's knowing about it, knowing that there are regional funding, like Lidia has just mentioned, and some examples at that, knowing that you have windows within the EU that you can tap into that. And then there are OCTs specific windows that you can also tap as Curaçao. So this is very directed to Curaçao, right? So the forecasting is identifying where are those fundings where Curaçao can apply to and how they can apply to. Like Lidia mentioned, they are going to be CARIFORUM, Caribbean funding, but because now the new modality doesn't cluster the funding of the ACP in a protected nest, then this new modalities, everybody's under the EU budget, general budget. What it means is that then if we have joint projects, we can tap into each other's funding. Before, regulations would not allow that we would do cooperation where you get OCT money with CARIFORUM money and other funding, and then we can bring together all those fundings and do projects. There were some attempts in the case of the French, the French territories in the Caribbean. They used to have their own windows of funding with a program called Interreg. There was some attempt to try to merge some of those funding, but it didn't go as well as expected. So now we are in a new scenario. So this is extraordinary opportunity for you to see where are those fundings, and this is one of the things, of course, that the EU desk in MEO is doing. And then, of course, that's about all the windows that are available, then which one of them match Curaçao's priority? Because of course, everything has to do with the priority of the country, but also the priority of the institutions and the companies that could benefit from some of those fundings. So those fundings available had to align to your priorities. So Lidia already mentioned the EU CARIFORUM document protocol. So we need to look at where the guidelines of where the priorities the EU and the different regions have agreed to, and where are the sectors, the areas which are of interest to Curaçao. There was this overall agreement that Lidia mentioned of the organization of ACP states, which was signed. So that is a general framework of the cooperation. Then you have a specific for the Caribbean. There are, of course, a specific for Africa and the Pacific. But for us, we are interested in the one from the Caribbean. There's also a EU OCT document, which we also have to know. And shortly, we're going to see that some of the areas, of course, align. Because one of the things that these documents have in common is that they are prepared with the EU. And then, of course, the EU priorities are as well coming through. Their Green Deal and some of the other EU priorities that the EU has for itself are also coming through to in all these documents. Then we also have CARIFORUM priorities. Although the EU Caribbean documents are by regional agreement between the two regions, CARIFORUM and EU, still there are some specific priorities that CARICOM has. And then if we go even deeper in some of the other regional entities, we will have to see what their priorities as well are. And then we will have to see all those discussions and communications that are happening at the Latin American and Caribbean level. And this is one advantage that Curaçao have. You can speak Spanish, you can participate, fully integrate in some of those discussions and conversations at the, whether it's Ibero-American or Latin American Caribbean level. So with that, you can forecast where some of that funding is going to be invested. There are some indicative amounts in the case of the Caribbean. The probably, I don't know if there are some indicative amount yet on the way of the OCTs, but at least you, with those documents, you know which are the priority. If you look at the CARIFORUM, of course, Green Deal, the EU is pushing, well, the Green Deal, but everybody agrees now. We saw it in Glasgow, everybody is agreeing that climate change is a priority worldwide. And of course, Curaçao has done a lot on this topic and in the topic of the vulnerability of small islands. So these are some of the areas that have been agreed that is a Caribbean priority, where I think, of course, you also see priorities for Curaçao. In the area of trade, economic resilience and trade, of course, there are common challenges that need to be tackled: diversifications, promotions, promotion of investment, improving investment climate, environment, and be more inclusive with the SMEs, all of those things that we have in common. And if you look at the last one, the cooperation, closer cooperation between the Caribbean countries with the OCTs and the French War. If we look at the OCTs area of cooperations, environment again is top of the line, innovation, support, food security, culture, all of those, crime and security, all of those are so which are in common to the areas that Lidia already mentioned. And in the area of trade, still we have, these are not the full list, but you have things that are in common: regional integration, investment climate, diversification of trade, trade policies, exports. So all of those things are also part of that priority. So at least in the forecasting, we can highlight that there is economic, a lot of economic areas where cooperation at the regional level could happen, cooperation with Latin America and with the EU itself. So after we do the awareness, after we do the forecasting, now we know the general areas. So how do we drill down? Where are the projects are coming from? Then this is where we have to look for programming windows. What type of projects and how is that going to be programmed? Like Lidia explained, before we used to know 100% what the mechanics of programming were, because they were already established, and with small changes from one EDF funding cycle to another, but they were pretty similar. We are all entering into a new area, which is interesting because that means that we are in similar footing. Although CARIFORUM countries have more experience, maybe that you are in some implementation of projects, in the modality that is going to have, everybody is new at this stage. Then you have to look at what are the organizations that are going to be involved in those programming exercises. We know that in CARIFORUM at the regional level, we have the CARIFORUM Directorate, which is part of the CARICOM Secretariat. And then you also have regional entities. What Dominican Republic did, which Lidia explained, was that, of course, the majority of regional entities, with the exception of Caribbean Export, the rest of the regional entities are CARICOM entities. Dominican Republic is not a member of CARICOM. So what it happened is then there were agreements between regional entities. Some of those Lidia mentioned, between CROSSQ and INDOCAL for standards, CIDEMA and the Emergency Committee in the Dominican Republic, etc. So we need to be out in the lookout. Who are those organizations in the region that are going to be working in programming, and how do we start early discussions on how do we cooperate with them, and how do we include Curaçao's priorities and potential projects. So we have to align those priorities and start discussing those priorities. So once we do that, if we know climate change, Green Deal, all that is a priority, then we have to say as a country, where are our priorities? What kind of projects do we need in our country? Is it renewable energy? Is it greater access to water? Is this erosion of coastal? So what are those areas? But also as an institutions, the NGOs, the private sector institutions, the companies, the group, the sectors, associations, where is our priority in economic diversification, in attracting investment? What can I do? Where are our priorities? So we align our interest with that of the region. For one example that I think is could be a good project is that you have technology, you have a Blue NAP that has a tier 4 capacity to store data. Data management is one of the cutting edge, everybody's priority everywhere. So you can leverage some of those, the expertise you have in cybersecurity, the Blue NAP, the other technology driven companies that you have there. And maybe you start contacting CTU, the Caribbean Telecommunication Unit, about that. And maybe some governments in CARIFORUM can store some of their data in the Blue NAP and use some of the know-hows in the country. So you can identify areas where you can work together on cybersecurity or any of the other areas. So yes, we know that digital transformation is important, it's part of export diversification. So who are the organizations in the regions that we can tap? You see, it's Indotel in the Dominican Republic, it's ACP-EU in CARICOM. How do we align with them? How we talk to them? How we discuss with them? So we have to do this mapping at the ACP level, at the regional level, at the sub-regional level, and national levels, where we have linkages, like in the case of Dominican Republic, and of course with entities in the EU. If we have some connections, whether it's in the Netherlands or any other place in Europe, that's also important, because depending on the programming window, we will have to have a strategic alliances in order for us to develop project proposals and or to win project proposals. So once we know, we do this prospecting, and like I said, you can do it at the national level, the government level, but you can also do it at the institutional level, and we can help you there with the youth desk. Then you have to approach them. You have to identify with them. So if telecommunication is cybersecurity, if that is a priority, then we need to approach the CTU now, because this is where everybody's open to talk to everybody. When you approach, when the money is assigned, when the program is designed, when everything is ready, you approach them, they're feeling like they have to give you something they already got. But right now, everybody is opening and know that they need to cooperate, and they know they have to establish the linkages in order to get the programs approved and to get the interest. So this is the moment where you have to go there and establish those linkages, because now everybody's open. We have, Lidia and I had the experience of the multi-country projects that she mentioned. When the Dominican Republic started working on that, because that was happening at the regional level, a programming of that, we just reached out to potential countries where we thought there were potential areas where there were already some contacts, there were some basis of discussions to build on proposals. And that's what was done, built on those proposals and develop those proposals jointly so that it has a higher possibility of being approved. Another important factor that I think Curaçao has not explored enough is that you get your professionals, that means your consultants and you at the private sector that are here. If you have any of consulting firms that are here, you need to participate more on the programs that the consultancies that the EU have. Because let's say CARIFORUM and the EU are programming cybersecurity. Let's keep that subject open. And you are programming something in that. If this European consultant that comes in, or even CARIFORUM consultant that comes in, doesn't know about Curaçao, doesn't know that you have the Blue NAP, doesn't know the characteristic of the Blue NAP, they will never propose it because they don't know it. If you get your consultants linking to other consultants, if they're part of a team, they can bring it to the attention of the institutions, of the consultants. And that's one of the areas where we can help when we are a consultant in the middle of that, with information, with linkages, not because people want to leave you out, it's that they just don't know it. So if you have more Curaçao National working on those, then they can link you up as a country. They can link up the organizations and the companies in the country. So it's important then that we identify where those entities are, and then we approach them with what we want, but also what we can offer. Because one important element for success in this is that we not only go there because we need something, but we also have a strength that we can bring to the table, and we can show, and that we can complement And that is one of the strongest points that we have when we're trying to make a proposal for funding. And just to mention quickly, because if there are consultants here that have some expertise in different areas, from climate change, from security, that you know all the areas where the Caribbean is going to program. For those programming exercises, they're going to hire consultants. And you just have, you can go to the EU page and look for proposals and tenders, and they even have a forecast. So the biggest projects, not the small one, but the biggest one, they announce it there, and the announcer is coming so that you can identify potential consultants, because usually they are very big. If they're very big, our small consultancy firms are now able to participate, but they can participate as partner, and you can participate as consultant. And then there are smaller projects, the ones that I'm telling you about, the programming, the ones for evaluating projects, monitoring projects. Those ones are smaller ones. So the EU has a closed system where I think it's every 4 years, they call for companies, consortiums of consultants in Europe to present, to be pre-approved for projects in these different areas. It may vary a little bit in the future, but this is basically the mechanism they have, and they're currently implementing that. So what we need to do is, where is our expertise? Our expertise in infrastructure or sustainable natural resources, or sustainable job, just private sector, or any of the other areas. Then we go and this all in the EU side, Europa.eu, right? You can look at who are, you see here the lot 2, which is the private sector, for example. You can see which ones are the consultant firms in Europe that are pre-selected to do consultancy. And all that you have to do is write to these people and send your CV in EU format, and the format is online as well. And whenever there is a consultancy in the region, which is call for your expertise, these people are going to contact you immediately, and they're going to tell you that they are looking for consultants for this X, Y, and Z. So this is one of the ways that you as individuals can also participate, because if we have more consultants, first, you will have more expertise in locally to understand the regions and the programmings, and to have the connections in the regions. And second, you will have also people that, when programming those kind of things, also can think about the strength of Curaçao. Important things to consider in going through that pipeline. Regional is a priority for the EU. So there will be still some money at the national level, but already on the last programming exercise, the EU prioritized regional funding versus national funding, and we are expecting that to be the same case. So any alliances at the regional level that you can do, any connection now, don't wait until the money is assigned, because that is going to make it harder. You have to start making those liaisons now. You consider CARIFORUM level, CARICOM level, OECS level, and of course, Latin American organizations already. MEO is a member of the Latin American Association of Service Exporters, which is a plus, but there may be other organizations which are also part of that. CINEX is a member of CAIPA. So there are some regional entities you're already part of. How you build on that to ensure the visibility of Curaçao. And one issue that I know is a difficult one, but needs to be raised, is having a stronger voice of the OCT at the OCT level. Because Brexit, the British OCTs are no longer part of the cooperation with the European Union. So that means that there are opportunities. Only the Dutch OCTs and and I think it's St. Bart's, are the only OCTs in the Caribbean. So that means that if you have a stronger dialogue at the Dutch Caribbean level, then you can raise more issues and raise more funding out of those allocated for the OCTs. You can make a stronger case. If as a Dutch OCTs, you are bound together in areas where you have common priorities, and then together you connect with CARIFORUM or any other entities, that makes a very strong argument for projects and programs. And then anything that we do in projects has to be framed in the right context. Of course, Green Deal for the EU is a priority, sustainability on a small island, digitalization and innovation, and all those areas which are a priority for everybody, for the EU, for CARIFORUM, for OCTs, so for Curaçao. So how do we transform that into projects, into priorities, and look for the right windows? Lidia mentioned some of the windows that are already established and that will continue. Euroclima, Eurosocial, there's Alinvest, there's Adelante. There's all the programs that probably with Latin America that will continue, but now it will be open for the rest of the Caribbean, including the OCTs and CARIFORUM, to be part of that. So that is very important. The other thing is, when you're new to and that's not the case for a lot of you, but maybe for some of you, yes. When you're new to the operation, it's important to have a track record and the right network. What do I mean by that? That if you approach an organization that you never dealt with, that you don't know what you have in common and anything, just to develop a EU cooperation project, it's not going to be the same as if you already sit down with them and say, okay, CTU, what are you doing on cybersecurity in the region? How can we collaborate? What are the areas that we have in common? So when the opportunity comes to develop a joint project, we already have this collaboration going. So it's a natural step into that. So identifying those strategic partners that are important for you to develop linkages is important. Strengthen that network, and then you take the lead on driving your country and hopefully the rest of the Dutch Caribbean into that. That's what I mean with track record. So Dominican Republic and Curaçao, of course, have long history of collaborations. As Lidia mentioned, there was a kingdom-wide MOU signed. There are some MOUs that Curaçao has signed with some DR institutions. There are trade negotiations that are happening between the two countries. All of those are basis of good programming and collaborations between Dominican Republic and Curaçao. And you have the services of the Curaçao desk that can help you make the linkages that you may need at institutional or private sector level. Some of the areas that we've seen that could be good for collaboration, of course, training services. Both economies are services economy. So there are a lot of opportunities then in technology, creative industries, and other services. Joint venture that will justify economic diversifications, data management already mentioned, sustainable economy, regional value chains. That means that you can have Dominican Republic, Curaçao agreements, but you can also have Dominican Republic, Curaçao agreement with Jamaica, with even countries outside the Caribbean. So we can bring somebody from Latin America or from Central American region, innovations, and orange economy, where there was already some discussions between the film industry and in Curaçao and Dominican Republic. So maybe something to explore on a project-based basis. And we have just to relook at each other and see the areas where we can work together. Blue economy. Do you know that we are bordering countries? Dominican Republic and Curacao are borders. At the sea, there is a border that unites us. Green economy. We also border each other in air. If we divide the Caribbean into air control areas, we are also border countries there. And then, of course, orange economy. We all enjoy, a lot of cultural issues between cultural connections between the two countries. So it's just rethinking what we have in common, how can we connect, how can we build on that funnel where we build from forecasting to prospecting, to approaching, and then to develop the type of projects that will get more funding, developing funding to our countries. So I don't know how long are we going to have development funding. At least for the next 5 years, the EU has said that we're going to have those funding allocating 800 million for the Caribbean, 600 million for OCTs, plus there are other millions allocated for Latin America. So there are windows of opportunities, funding that we can tap into that. And this is the moment we need to shift some of the actions, look at what are we doing at local level that could benefit from a regional collaboration, or what are some of our national strengths that we can also collaborate with others within the region. And then you have the EU desk, and you have the Curacao desk in the Dominican Republic ready to help if you want to pursue some of these avenues. Thank you.
Well, Taiana, thank you so much, Taiana. You gave us a lot of information, and one of the main things that you said is act now. We can't wait. We have to act now. Shift some of the actions, build bridges of collaboration. Thank you. That's I think that's very good and sound advice. I really hope that we have several consultants in the team, in the group, and that we start to think about this and work out some possibilities and some projects, and build the relationships. I don't know if there are questions for Taiana. We can take like one, maybe, because we are 17 minutes over time. So only if we have one pressing question. Is there one?
I see just a comment from somebody that is a sustainability consultant. I mean, that's an area that, of course, is high in demand, and the more funding will be allocated to that area, the more projects we can develop together. You can help Curacao and the rest of the region develop projects together, and as well, you can tap into consultancy opportunity as well.
Okay. Well, Taiana, thank you so much once again. Taiana's email address is included, if I'm not mistaken, in the program, or otherwise you can get it from us. Please send us your email. Tell us if you want to receive the recordings of all these presentations, because we have recorded them. If you want to receive it, you can send us an email and we will send the information to you. If there are no other questions, then I can conclude with today's session and invite you immediately for tomorrow, because tomorrow will be a very interesting day again. Everybody, please register, sign up. Tomorrow we start by 9:30. We will look at the opportunities for funding under the new EU OCT agreement. Okay, so that's how we will start tomorrow. If you haven't registered yet, please do that as fast as possible. And once again, thank you. We will see you tomorrow. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.